Crimson Desert is a game. It is a game that came out. And because this game came out, a lot of people had some feelings about it, including Metacritic, because the Metacritic score is, I would say at this point, it's at 78, which I do not think it's bad. In fact, by Metacritic's own standards, green means good. A 78 is good. It is good. A 70 is good in my book. It's average. It's okay. 78, good. It's close. It's almost an 80. It's almost a B. That's great. 78 on PC. Hasn't been, mentioned on other platforms, but a 78 is good. It's good. Right? Apparently, no. Apparently, I'm wrong. Apparently, a 78 is dog shit, because the stock price for Crimson Desert, for the company Pearl Abyss, dropped 30%. 30% because of its Metacritic score. The stock price of Pearl Abyss Core has fallen by, as it's writing, roughly 30% today. Not sure why, but it has something to do with its Metacritic, which is an 80 on OpenCritic and 78 on Metacritic. Still, those are pretty decent scores. Obviously not quite a high level of a high 90s some expectant fans were hoping for, but it's a 4 out of 5 average, really enough to tank Pearl Abyss's stock valuation that hard? Or is there more to the story? Probably not. Honestly, trust me, I know it sounds a little ridiculous that Crimson Desert only being pretty good as opposed to really good could wipe out 30% of the stock price, but it does make sense. It does make sense once you take a look at the whole picture. We can finish this article. It's not that long. From December 30th to January 30th, Pearl Abyss Core stock price shot up roughly 52%. So what happened in that window that caused a sudden jump? Pearl Abyss announced that Crimson Desert had gone gold on January 22nd, which meant that the game would definitely meet its March 19th release date. As Pearl Abyss is a publicly traded company, this caused investors to swarm the stock and increase its valuation. From here, Crimson Desert's cleverly executed PR push resulted in the stock climbing higher and higher until it hit an all-time high of 68,500 KRW on March 16th, roughly an 125% increase. Jesus Christ. Jesus Christ. Now, by itself, okay, you have what investors do, what they always do, right? Not really understanding the market, but seeing number go up, they overinflate the value of something, and then at the first sign of trouble, they pull out. It happens. That's finance, baby. But I'm not a finance bro. In fact, I'm real bad with money. Give me more money, please. Everyone subscribe to my Twitch and just watch all my YouTube videos. Subscribe to me. I might even do memberships. Who knows? But but that just happens. But what I want to focus on is from the gaming side, because there are certain creators who have really wanted this game to do well. I'm just going to make sure I have it up here. They want this game to do very, very well, to the point where they start making dumbass statements. Hi, we're going to talk about Luke Stevens for a little bit. So Luke Stevens wrote, I predicted after the preview that this one the game journalists will loathe. There is zero hand-holding, and even at the preview event, I witnessed several journalists from big outlets getting stuck in the tutorial puzzle for 45 plus minutes. Now, this is just an excerpt of what he said, because what he actually said was this. My Crimson Desert review work in progress. TLDW. Crimson Desert is a game that fundamentally changes our perceptions of what is possible in the medium. Its open world exploration and sheer scale all offer something that almost no other game has even attempted. It's not perfect, there are bugs, occasional quality dips, and its scope can sometimes leave ideas on the table for too long. But overall, I'm thoroughly impressed. After 60 plus hours, I'm loving it. I think it will probably take me 120 plus to roll credits and likely 300 for a completionist run. Even so, I cannot wait to see what else the game has tucked away for me to find, and I'm actively playing it even while writing this pinned comment. Now, if we just stop right here, I can say, Luke Stevens seems a little bit overzealous about this game, saying that, you know, it's fundamentally going to change our perception of what's possible in the medium, which is a huge statement to make. But he's allowed to say that he's really, 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 really into the game. Okay, that's fine. He likes it. He can do that. But this part right here, it won't be for everyone, and I expect the game journalist memes will flow considering its lack of hand-holding, but it's definitely for me. This is the shit that turns me sour against people like this. This is completely unnecessary. What does this point add to your original glowing recommendation for it? Nothing. But you know what it does do? It creates a shield against any criticism towards this game because he loves it so much. So now what he's doing is, oh yeah, the game journalist moves are going to flow because it doesn't have hand holding. So now when you see a game journalist review the game and they don't give it a 90 and they give it a 78 or an 80, oh, it's because they suck at video games. They're not real gamers. It's too hard for them. It's a lack of hand holding, which is bullshit. We know it's bullshit. You know it's bullshit, which is why you tuned in here. Right? So then you see some people like Andy Cortez. None of my games media friends / coworkers have an issue with the lack of hand holding. Seems like they just wanted a compelling characters and an interesting narrative in addition to cool systems. Come on, man. Let's be better than game journalists suck at games crowd. The domain. Actually, the problem is that it's a vapid and creatively bankrupt content binky made for adult age infants like yourself that judge all art by how much content can be sluiced through the what little gray matter you have left, you vacuous shitheel. Yeah, that sounds like the domain. Joy Raptor, I do think the narrative game journalist is bad is stupid. Like, everyone is just going like, it's stupid. Nah, I trust Jake Baldino. He's a true gamer, not just a journalist who tries to rush through games. And he said the first 8 hours were bad. No game should have a bad first 8 hours, maybe 1 to 2 tops. And this statement right here is what I agree with. Aren't you basically a games journalist? Yes. Luke Stevens, for all intents and purposes, is a games journalist. I'm amazed. Crimson Desert amazed me. I tried it, but all of his content, like he gets flown out to events, he gets these hands-on, he makes impressions, he does everything games journalists do. He is in effect a games journalist. He's not out here putting his gameplay video up. He's not doing let's plays. He's not talking about like commentary like I do about like the gaming space and all that shit. He is doing what games journalists do. Talk about games, review games, give opinions about games, give some insight about games. Talk about your hands-on experiences, talking about leaks. And most of his content is you relying on games journalists to do something, which I also do, which is why I find it so strange that YouTubers go out of their way to shit on games journalists when in reality, if there were no games journalists, all of us in the content creation space would have nothing to talk about. We would have no leaks to talk about. We'd have no upcoming games to talk about. We'd have none of this shit. When they have all these events, you know who gets invited? Games journalists, because they know how to cover things. Fucking regular YouTubers don't know how to do that. If you sent me to cover like Summer's Games Fest, I'd be like, yeah, they had a lot of gotcha games. Didn't even interest me. But there was this one game, they had 007 First Light. That looked cool. I wouldn't be able to cover it in a way that's honest. I wouldn't be able to cover it in a way that's like useful. That's what games journalists do. That's their whole thing. But like, again, his output is like, Luke Stevens, you are a games journalist. Like, unless he has, I know he has a live channel, unless he's like streaming himself like playing video games on the live, gaming news, reacting and chatting. Talking. Okay, so again, you're not playing video games. You're talking about this is game journalism. This is squarely within the realm of games journalism, right? And not to say that he's breaking stories, right? He's not breaking stories. He's not interviewing people. It's not what I see. But this is still much closer to games journalism than like a Let's Player or a YouTube gamer. So it's weird for him to make that statement. But he's making that statement because it's a game he likes. No hand-holding, deja vu journalists raging, which is good for the normal consumers. And it's like, the games journalists review these games. Another thing too, I love this picture so much. Pearl Abyss doesn't have this like stellar track record where they have nothing but bangers, where they have nothing but critically acclaimed games. They're not fucking FromSoft. They're not Kojima Productions. They're not Naughty Dog. They're not, CD Projekt Red. They're not 2K. They're not Rockstar. Like, it's like the expectations they have of this game is insane to me. You're still gaining resonant sympathy from some players by mocking fellow video game creators, all while continuing to defend and excuse the game's flaws and shortcomings. Exactly. And so what I wanted to showcase here, though, was my comment, right? Unnecessary statement to make sure you don't upset the gamers because they had a critique about a game you've deemed Game of the Year. This was my entire disagreement with him, with that whole statement, because I can see through the bullshit. I can see that half those companies were marred in controversial launches. Yeah, but their pedigree is their pedigree. That's the point I'm getting at. But also, this guy blocked me. I don't know why, but whatever. So I couldn't like respond to it through here. So I did it this way. But no, I'm pretty sure the most important part of what he says is eyewitness. And I'm pretty sure he's saying that what he thinks is not what he wants us to hear. No, he's saying what he wants you to hear. He's right. Media outlets play favorite examples like the Veilguard Marathon while bad-mouthing studios who don't play ball with them, like Black Myth World. I get the dumbest people in my comment sections. Holy shit. This is my favorite, by the way. He has 22,000 likes on his YouTube video review while journals ate shit once again. Keep coping, Lucas real as fuck. What is the comparison here? He got 22,000 likes on his YouTube video. Luke Steven has like 100,000 subscribers. I'm sure it's quite easy for him to get 22,000 likes. He has 674,000 subscribers. I'm sure getting 22,000 likes is not difficult. Like, it's not difficult to get. And again, that's a nice number. But how does that relate to, then he just says game journals are eating shit. How are they eating shit? You're overseeing the perspective of critiques from gamers in regards to some valuing narrative-driven games over some valuing the ludology of the game. Now, what I am trying to illustrate here is the cognitive dissonance happening here, where he is a fan of a game, right? Actually, let's see something real quick. This is the game that I always use. I'm finally done with Dragon Age Veilguard. So about Dragon Age Veilguard, I have thoughts. You think Dragon Veilguard should have been a live service game? I played 7 Dragon Veilguard. A skeptical look at Veilguard. So and then if we just type in Crimson Desert, does he have a skeptical look at Crimson Desert? It amazed me. It's gonna be a love it or hate it game. Crimson Desert will be ill-hit by its community. After 6 hours. Almost too good to be true. I tried it early. The hype is getting crazy. They actually did it. So look at how much content he's put out. Okay, look, a skeptical look. There we go. At least he did that a year ago. Look how much content he's put out over that game, right? A ton of content he put out over Crimson Desert. Veilguard, not that much. And it's obvious he doesn't like Veilguard, right? Okay, I'm finally done with Dragon Age Veilguard. Does not invoke he likes it. But let's just see some.
Actually done with Dragon Age the Veilguard, both literally and metaphorically, because I have been playing through it for the last week and a half, 2 weeks, and I have rolled credits numerous times. I have tested different choices, different.
So doesn't
endings.
like it. Doesn't like it. You can tell. He said literally and figuratively. Doesn't like the game. Comments probably gonna show it too. Yeah. So like Hilly fought the Canadians. Yeah. So he doesn't like the game. Doesn't like it. All right. Overall thoughts, doesn't like it.
Glowing red zits that you pop, and then the veins that connect them light up another zit that you have to pop. And all throughout the game, these things are used to like soft gate you between individual areas and slow you down as you explore stuff. And it's explained away as like, oh, it's the blight spread.
So it isn't
like
like
a lot of game journalists said it was. But if you're going into it probably is like a lot of Friendship Simulator. It probably is bad. I think if you go into it expecting like a Friendship Simulator, it probably is that 9 out of 10 game for you. It probably is like a lot of game journalists said it was. But if you're going into this expecting like a dark and gritty RPG, or if you're going into this expecting an RPG period, I think you're going to be really, really disappointed. And hearing my wife, who is a diehard Dragon Age fan, also express frustration over.
Okay, so key points to take away from this right here.
He is like a lot of game journalists said it was.
If your expectations for this was to have a friendship simulator, then it is a 9 out of 10 for you. But if you want to have like an actual RPG, you won't like it. That's his takeaway, right? Not shocking, right? But he's able to understand in this instance, because he doesn't like the game. He doesn't care about its success. He doesn't give a shit about Dragon Age. He's not invested in it. He can say, yeah, if you like this kind of shit, good for you, whatever, whatever, whatever. And yet, because he likes Crimson Desert, that doesn't happen. What happens is he's automatically doing this shit. He's saying, yeah, dude, I predicted after the preview that this is one that game journalists will loathe. Because he knows it has faults. He's even admitted it. It's not perfect. There are bugs, occasional quality dips, and its scope can sometimes leave, I'll make it bigger. Its scope can sometimes leave ideas on the table for too long. You know what that means? That means the pacing for the game isn't that great. And its scope, it's really big. There's a lot of stuff to do, but sometimes it just leaves things on the table for too long. That's a pacing issue. Occasional quality dips. Okay, so it has quality issues. That's a performance issue. There are bugs. Okay, so there's technical issues. In his stream, he said he talked to journalists at the event and they saw them struggling. I also saw that. Not that stream, but I saw that statement too. They were talking about the fact that the tutorial was obtuse. And so the tutorial puzzle was difficult because the instructions weren't clear. But he's taking that to be like, yeah, they struggled. They struggled. And then if you look at the quotes, it's stuff like, I mean, a lot of people calling him out for being a plagiarist, which honestly, I don't care about. I'm not saying plagiarism is good, but he's already made amends for that or whatever. Oh, Kate Bush husband. Game journalists beat and reviewed Shadow of the Erdtree before guides dropped and patches reduced the difficulty, which is also true. Because he's doing that thing where he's like, oh, well, game journalists are bad at video games. So because it doesn't hold your hand, they won't like this. Game journalists will never stop glazing Elden Ring or any FromSoft game, any Soulsborne game. They won't stop glazing like Silksong. They beat Sekiro without any of that shit. All the hard games that have reviews and guides, they've beaten. They beat those games. And because they beat those games, they can review it or they can have a guide up. So it doesn't make any logical sense to say they can't handle not having their handheld when most of you motherfuckers read their guides. Like, like that's what I never understood. I'm Gene Park, mutual of mine. I'm a journalist who's covered crime and military, education, and politics, and the zero hand-holding is the best part about Crimson Desert. It doesn't feel like a classic CRPG realized in dynamic and well-animated massive world with lots of weird random interactions. He likes it. And I think they even mentioned, get him, Gene. I like the no hand-holding, but I got stuck on this puzzle too because it sucked ass as a puzzle. The tutorial sucks. That's what they were talking about. It sucks. The tutorial's bad. Yeah, but game journalists are games. I like to know hand holding too, but everyone got stuck on that puzzle because it sucks. Again, it's a shit puzzle. It's a shit puzzle. It wasn't clear, but they all played the game. My boy 8-Bit Close Fist. Let's see what 8-Bit has to say, actually.
For
He's really
wannabe
good.
game journalists hating game journalists. Because when do you cross?
Let's start over.
Gamers hate journalists, a tale as old as time, and that's a different story. But I will not stand for wannabe game journalists hating game journalists. Because when do you cross the line from content creator to industry person? When you review every popular game that's out? When you do sponsored content? When you're at the same press events, listening to the same dev speeches? When you're hosting a big media event showcasing a bunch of different games with a bunch of different sponsors? Like, all that shit is cool. I'm right there with you, but I can't stand for this friendly fire pick me type shit anymore. Like, honestly, what's the difference between you and Joe IGN other than the fact that you aren't held to the same moral standards as an actual journalist?
Or you don't have an editorial board. There's no one to go over your reviews. There's no one to make sure you are objective in your shit.
You get your scoops from them. We've seen what happens when you can't just straight up bash a game or pander to the whoever you're pandering to, folk. It's very lukewarm. And for the viewers, like, literally, what's the difference? If you really want people that's like not connected to the industry at all, go follow like Hydra Amazing, The Mindful Gamer, Stroop Waffle. Those people don't get invited to shit. No shade. If that's your thing, cool. Go follow those people. But that's just me though. Make sure you follow for more video game discussions. Gamers hate.
Big facts. Big facts. Big facts. But yeah, like everyone, most people are, look, so I gotta ask, why do YouTubers who do the exact same thing as game journalists, but in video form, think they're somehow superior to game journalists? If anything, YouTubers in general have less education and way more reasons to outright lie and get liked in easy views. Yeah, you guys should honestly follow 8-Bit close, which he does really good stuff. Gamers about the games is such pick-me thing to say to someone who does game journalism. It's giving not like other girls. Presenting yourself as a real game by putting down other journalists is basically a dog whistle these days because it's something that all culture war grifters do to try to discredit criticism that doesn't align with their views. Speak on it. Or to try and give more credibility wherever their BS they're selling. How many people are falling for this shit so blindly when journalists are beating games like Elden Ring before release and publishing the guides and walkthroughs all of you needed to do the same? This is why I've been saying that we content creators are worse than game journalists when it comes to shit like this. Just such unnecessary shade. Plus, this all falls apart since Hollow Knight, Silksong, and Elden Ring are reviewed and praised high. Exactly. Like, the rest of this is just people going into him. Like, he's getting his ass beat in the QRTs. Like, he's getting his ass beat. Like game critics have given this game a less than perfect score, and here come the YouTubers adding fuel to the anti-game journalist fire. So let's look at the actual Metacritic. Look at the scores. Critic reviews. 100, 100, 100, 100, 95, 95, 95. And let's look at some of the big names, right? Vice 100, DualShockers 95, Forbes 95. Still in the 90s, 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 90s. 90s, 88, 86, 85, Destructo 85, IGN Brazil 85, IGN, I can't pronounce that, 85, IGN 85, Digispot 80, 80, Gaming Bible 80, IGN Audrey, what else Audrey? 80, IGN France 80, so like TechRadar.Gaming 80, Gaming Bolt 80, Game Brand 80, PC Gamer 80, 80s. 78, 77, Checkpoint Gaming 75. These are all green. Then you have 70s from Game Informer. It's a beautiful exploration-rich open world game that's clear technological achievement, hampered by a cornucopia of little frustration and a stark lack of narrative depth. GameSpot. Crimson Desert is a frequently thrilling game elevated by an open world well worth exploring and hard-hitting combat that delights with its depth and emphasis on play expression. It might not always be the most cohesive game, mixing high fantasy with steampunk sci-fi elements, but there's nothing else quite like it. I can't help but be impressed by how little restraint Probus has shown in his commitment to delightful absurdity. In some respects, Crimson Desert might not be too good to be true, but it's a world worth getting lost in. This is a positive review. Bros in the chat fighting for Luke's life. Wait, who is? This is a positive review. You can't read this as a negative review. Insider Gaming. Crimson Desert is a game of extremes. At its best, it offers a breathtaking world filled with meaningful exploration, impressive scale, and genuine battles. However, that brilliance is occasionally weighed down by an overabundance of unfocused systems, a weak narrative, and combat that struggles to maintain consistency. You have to admire its ambition, and there are high points, but there's also a lot of slogging around and meaningless fetch quests. These are all saying what Luke said here. It's not perfect. There are bugs, occasional quality dips. Occasional quality dips could also mean he already said bugs, so that could be performance, but that could also be quality in terms of the quality of the missions, of the fetch quests. He also says, and its scope can sometimes leave ideas on the table for too long. That's the pacing. These are overall positive. I'd have to go way down because some crazy negative. The lowest one so far is going to be like what? So this TBD, 45. I don't even know who Critical Hits is, but their review. Crimson Desert draws attention for its ambitious open world adventure proposal, but the experience ultimately falls short of expectations. The game features a confusing narrative with uninteresting characters and missions that feel like generic MMO tasks. The combat has many mechanics but little depth, with artificial difficulty spikes and unresponsive controls. Even with impressive graphics and a high degree of exploration freedom, issues with art direction, bugs, and design decisions make the game feel vast in content but shallow in quality. That's the most negative review we've read so far, which is just being critical. Crimson Desert's stunning visuals and strong performances aren't enough to save from being a disappointing experience. Jam-packed with content and systems that make it feel like a jack of all features, master of none with an unenjoyable gameplay loop. Crimson Desert really is just a single-player MMO? Single-player MMO in all but name, which is a criticism I have heard from people about this game. As it stands on release, the best parts of Crimson Desert are buried deep under layers of absurdity. But again, these are overwhelmingly positive. Overwhelmingly positive. A 78 is good. Unless you are the investors, which for some reason is bad. 73% of this is positive. 26% mixed. 1% negative. It's all that games can't just be okay. Some people like a 6 or 7 is a decent game. It doesn't always have to be 8.5 or up. We're not going to act like classic games are all certified bangers. Exactly. That's what I say. And so this whole shit with Luke Stevens is such cope. It's such cope to me. There's a train in Crimson Desert you can climb onto, train, and travel the world as well. He's coping. Wait, someone said he made a video? He made a response video to the tweet explaining my Crimson Desert Games journalist comment. Oh, I wasn't planning on doing a reaction today, but here we go.
I upset a subset of the gaming journalism cohort, whatever it is. Yeah.
Starting off real smug, not gonna lie.
Apparently it all started from a post I replied to. It's one of those things where I'm like, I just made a quick off the cuff comment, and it upset some people. Basically, Michael asked, is this going to be one of those games?
Also, wait, time out. He didn't make a quick off the cuff. He made two separate. Come on, Luke. Bubby, not only did you respond to Michael's tweet saying I predicted that, you also made a separate tweet talking about this and also mentioned the game. This wasn't off the cuff. You wanted people to see this. You know who does off the cuff tweets? Me. I do off the cuff tweets, which is why I get so surprised when my tweets pop off. My shit's just a knee jerk reaction half the time. I'm off the cuff. Leak, that is not off the cuff. You made a tweet to this tweet alluding to your other tweet. Come on, buddy. Come on, man.
Games critics don't like but users love. These Crimson Desert review scores are not great so far. I think.
Also, real quick, I know I'm pausing a lot, but that's what I do. Do you notice how overall these people are being very gentle to Crimson Desert? Because they were not this gentle to fucking Dragon Age. They weren't this gentle to Assassin's Creed Shadows. They were pocket watching. They were looking at its stocks. They were looking at the Steam player counts. They were looking at every metric. Oh my God, Ubisoft said that only 3 million players. Why aren't they saying how many they sold? They were doing all that shit. But for Crimson Desert, a game that wasn't pre-approved to be shit in their eyes, they're like, whoa, this must be one of those games where Ghost of Yotei as well, right? This must have been one of those games where critics don't like it, but users love it. Since when the fuck do they care about user scores? Do you think, let me check something real quick. If we go to Xvoto, right? Do you think they would be kind to this game? Do you think they'd be like, oh, the critics just don't understand this game? I guarantee they wouldn't be.
High 70s. My final prediction was like 81. 77 was lower than I was expecting. I was expecting low 80s. I didn't expect somebody to like give it a 45 out of 100. That one's wild to me, but yeah, that one was crazy. But the score is like a bit lower than even I was expecting. I was expecting like low 80s was my guess, because like I've been saying since the preview, it's a game you love or you hate. You love it or you hate it. Like, and there's not much middle ground.
Also, is this not contradictory to what he just said a couple seconds ago? Like, listen to this, right?
Expecting like low 80s was my guess, because like I've been saying 100. That one's 80s. I didn't expect somebody to like give it a 45 out of 100. That
didn't expect someone to give it a 45 out of 100, which, if you guys know numbers, that's a 45%. That person probably hated the game. But Luke, what do you say about that?
One's wild to me, but yeah, that one was crazy. But the score is like a bit lower than even I was expecting. I was expecting like low 80s was my guess, because like I've been saying since the preview, it's a game you love or you hate.
So you love or you hate? You love or you hate? That person hated it, but you just said that you expected it to be a game you love or hate. You hate the game? Yeah, I gave it a 45. I hate that shit. That game's awful. Oh, I gave the game 100 because other people gave it 100. We went through that on Metacritic. They gave it 100. So how is this not out of your expectation? Like, if it's people are going to love it or hate it, of course that's going to average out. It's not going to be in the high 80s.
You love it or you hate it. Like, and there's not much middle ground. There, like, some people are like, I see the good and it's like, it's okay. But it really is either it clicks with you and you love it, or you just don't. And that's okay. My point has been from the outset to be like very clear. This is a polarizing game. And usually polarizing games end in this like high 70s, low 80s. Like, think a game like, well, maybe Starfield's a good example. Starfield or Dragon's Dogma 2 or one of those where there's some people that love it and there's some people that just do not.
You can say that about anything. Luke did say that in his streams days ago. That doesn't matter if he said that though. We're living in reality. He said you can love it or hate it, but he's upset that there's people who hate the game. So he clearly has a problem with people loving it or hating it.
So I replied this and just again off the cuff was like, I predicted after the preview that
not off the cuff
is one game journalists will loathe. And in the moment, I was thinking like the meme of a game journalist, not necessarily literally people employed with the journalist tag.
Then why did you say it twice, Luke? You see what I mean though? Like, if he had just said it here, I would have been like, whatever. But Luke, you said that on the 18th. And then you also said this twice. Were you also thinking of the journalist as in the game journalist memes will flow considering the lack of handholding, but it's definitely for me? This is more of like, I was thinking of the meme. You said the meme right here. This isn't you talking about the meme. This is you specifically saying there's zero handholding, and even at the preview event, I witnessed several journalists from big outlets getting stuck into the toy puzzle for 45 minutes, ... That's not you saying because of the meme, because you outright said the meme in the other one. This is you trying to say that games journalists are bad at video games that don't hold their hand, hence why the game that you wanted to get an 81 doesn't have an 81. And you're trying to rationalize that after the fact.
I understand it reads as though I'm saying literal, like, people with that job will hate this. I was thinking the meme of game journalist, like the meme of somebody who is bad at games, but like talks about them incessantly. And if you don't like what they like, then you're bad.
I hope he shows the other tweet that he wrote, because if he doesn't, this is completely disingenuous and just cope.
I was thinking the meme, but I acknowledge that this doesn't sound that way. I said it's a game that People like that will loathe. There's zero hand-holding, and even at the preview event, I witnessed several journalists, again, thinking that type of person from big outlets, like a couple of people
God, Jay Viper, bro, even you get 6,000 views on your tweet, you get 100 likes.
I won't name them for obvious reasons, but they got stuck in the tutorial puzzle for 45 plus minutes. Basically, my entire lunch break, they were stuck on a puzzle. I did see that.
But Luke, are you going to say what puzzle? Because we went over this and it was the tutorial puzzle because the tutorial was poorly implemented. Are you going to talk about the fact that the tutorial was poorly implemented?
I'm not gonna like pretend like I didn't. And listen, it's okay if you struggle with puzzles in games. That's why there's games that don't have puzzles. That's okay. It's okay. Like, that's fine.
Jesus Christ, he's such a pretentious asshole. Oh my God, man. It's okay. It's okay if you're stuck with games with puzzles. You can go play your baby games. Like, bro.
Point has been that if you're somebody that is like that and doesn't like puzzles or doesn't like, you know, getting to that moment where you're like, what do I do here? Like, let me think about what even is this? This is just not going to be the game for you, you know? And it wasn't surprising to me, which is why I predicted that it was going to be super polarizing after that preview event. Well, needless to say, some people took that very personally. I think there is some valid feedback. Again, it seems very dismissive towards a whole suite of people. Like I said, when I wrote the comment, I was thinking more like the meme of gaming journalists, like
I also love the fact that he's doing this for himself, that he's like, no, I'm trying to tell you guys my mindset, but he will not do that for the other people. You see what I mean? Like he's not perspective taking. He's allowing his perspective to be told, which of course it's his channel, but he's not doing the courtesy of saying, hey, you know what? Maybe this game that I said is not perfect. Maybe it didn't do a good job explaining the tutorial. Maybe that's why. If like 100 people got stuck on something and you didn't, maybe you are the most specialist person and you're just super smart. Or maybe it's not really well implemented. Like Jake Baldino said that the puzzle sucks. A lot of people are like, yeah, that puzzle fucking sucked. But they're still playing the game.
Meme of the people that are laughably bad at games that get stuck on the tutorial of Cuphead, and then they rage about being bad at the game and they like blame the game for them being bad at it, you know, like that.
Oh, like Vera Dark did at Marathon. And also like Smash JT did in Marathon.
Meme, that type of person. That's what I had in my head, but I recognize and I acknowledge that it does not read that way because I did not make that clear. I did not make that clear. So some people got very, very upset about it. It's fine. I feel you. I saw what I saw, and my prediction I think has held true. There's some people that are loving this game, and for them it's like fantastic, phenomenal. And you see a common thread in most of the negative reactions to the game, which is struggles with like difficulty spikes, puzzles, whatever the term would be, like open-ended exploration design, things like.
This is also cope. Why are you sweeping did they pay you? Why are you sweeping so hard? None of you guys can ever say I'm a shill for anything because he is sweeping so hard for this game. Notice the thread. These people, they struggle with this. We read the reviews.
That. And so I think, you know, the prediction has held true. Some people took it more as an attack, but I think
oh my God, he's just repeating himself.
A nerve. I don't know. Anyway, so yes, I upset a lot of people apparently with this quote tweets galore, and I apologize for being broad with my brush. I was thinking of the types that struggle.
He's just saying it again over and over and over and over and over.
Always bugged me. Or I refused to upgrade my equipment and then the bosses were hard. It's like, yeah, because you didn't do the thing. It's like, I only stayed at level 1 while playing Elden Ring and all the combat was like really hard. It's like, yes, that's how that works. So I was thinking of those types of players, and that's what I meant by game journalists, like the meme. As for the specific people, the literal journalists from big outlets, I don't know if they would call themselves journalists, but the people that work for the big outlets and write for them and do coverage for them, I did see multiple that were stuck on the tutorial puzzle for 45 plus minutes through our like entire lunch break. Am I supposed to pretend like I didn't see that? Like, is that something we're not supposed to say? Like,
Anon is no one 6125. Some reviewers have said that some of the puzzles were just shit. I didn't like puzzles, so I hope they're at least fun. Luke, talk about the puzzle. What is the puzzle? Tell us why. Was it a super easy baby puzzle? How fast did you complete the puzzle, Luke?
It was a thing. And it's okay if you don't like, if you struggle with those puzzles, that's fine. But to then like critique the game for that, I think is funny. I think it's funny. You know, it's just a little silly.
You can critique, Jesus fucking Christ. You can critique it if it's poorly implemented. Like, I don't understand. Like, he's not even giving you any sort of information to be like, oh yeah, the puzzle was super easy. It was, you had 2 of these and there was 2 of those and you had to make it 4 and they were stuck. Okay, their fucking skill issue. But if the puzzle was some esoteric ass, like, figure it out during the tutorial is supposed to be a tutorial. It should at least point you in a direction. And then from that point on, like, hey, by the way, if you see something like this, you should remember this. Okay, that's on me. Like, holy shit, dude.
Anyway, they're posers. No, they might be people who just like different types of games, which is fine.
Oh my God. If he says it, which is fine again, I'm taking a shot. Like, this is the same.
Like, you have to understand, these companies, there's like a bunch of people that work there. So like, if you get assigned a review, you're assigning one of 10 reviewers you have, and you have to pick the right one for that.
One puzzle got me stuck because the tutorial didn't explain the mechanic one. Again, and that happens. Yeah, I wonder what this puzzle is too. Is there, hold on, let's see if we can find it. Because he's clearly not going to fucking tell us what this puzzle is. I show you how to complete the blinding flash puzzle in tutorial. Okay, so this is a tutorial puzzle.
To the first puzzle in Crimson Desert. I'm going to show you how to do it. It did take me a little bit of time. So
it took him a little bit of time too, mind you. And he's not a fucking games journalist. So point automatically disproven. Thank you, random YouTuber.
I'm not going to waste your time here. I'm going to get straight to it. You need to activate the ability, as you see there, by pressing LB and RB or L1 and R1. And then you are going to have to keep the light by holding down L1. Now, to do this, just make your way all the way over to this door in front of you. Activate the power, as you see I just tried there. So we're going to do it again. And then the light is going to pop up. We are going to go ahead and press L1 and then hold it and flick it up to there. So you see the light has been activated. And then we are going to press RB or R1 to get it done. It's going to open the door. So just to reframe that again, we're going to hold down LB and RB or L1 and R1. Get the light to activate.
Okay, and he said, okay. And the thing says, if I can get it to reflect light with your sword to disrupt enemy vision, spot enemy weak points, and find special items hidden throughout the pie well while using blinding flash. Blinding flash, press LB and RB, then hold RB. So you press at the same time, and then you hold RB, and then
down L1. Now to do this, just make your way all the way over to this door in front of you. Activate the power, as you see I just tried there. So we're going to do it again. And then the light is going to pop up. We are going to go ahead and press L1 and then hold it and flick it up to there. So you see the light has been activated. And
I can't even see the light. But look what you said in the beginning. Right?
In Crimson Desert. I'm going to show you how to do it. It did take me a little bit of time, so I'm not going to wait.
It did take him a little bit of time.
Waste your time here. We're going to get straight to it. You need to activate the ability, as you see.
It's missing a part. You after to hold L1 after. Wait, you have to hold L1 after. So you have to do LB, left bumper, right bumper, and then you hold one, and then you press the other one after. Wait, what? No, Wizard. The point is that the tutorial is shit because the people are telling you it's missing a part. After you hold L1, so you have to do left bumper. So this is not even correct. So you have to do left bumper, right bumper, and it doesn't tell you to hold L1 after.
You need to activate the ability, as you see there, by pressing LB and RB or L1 and R1, and then you are.
The tooltip says reflect light with your sword to disrupt enemy visions, spot weak points, whatever. And it says to use blinding flash, press left bumper and right bumper. So hold them together and then hold RB. But what the people are telling me here is that you also have to then hold left bumper again. But it doesn't tell you to hold left bumper again. It tells you to hold RB. You find out by just playing with it. So again, that feeds the point that this is not good tutorialization. Uncle Tez, you go left L1, R1, then hold R1, then hold L1 again. Okay, do you see how that's not mentioned in the tutorial? Like, no wonder it took people a long time to do it. That's what they were saying. That's why what's his face? Jake Baldino and Gene were saying it sucks. I like no handling, but I got stuck on this puzzle too because it sucked ass as a puzzle. The tutorial sucks. Like, they're saying the tutorial's bad because it is. I just read it to you guys, and thankfully people in the chat play the game. You just saw what to do. I want to see if there's other people talking about this. Hold on. Look how many fucking videos are just on this. Oh, but it's the games journals who are terrible. Let's, fuck it. Let's go through some of these.
What's up, Cliffs? Mark here, and you were probably like me, stuck in the corridor of the void trying to...
Another gamer saying they were stuck. Another person saying they were stuck in the corridor of the void. This is the first puzzle.
Don't feel bad because I got stuck here too. It is a little harder than it actually appears. But what you need to do is, once they introduce this new mechanic where you're going to squeeze R1, L1, and you learn blinding flash, which you can use later on in the game. You could use that to like blind enemies. God. But really, for here, what you need to do is, let me blow this up so you can kind of see it better. But
hold on. Now it's saying it is showing it. Hold on one. Wait. Now this is more confusing because now it's saying while holding R1, press L1 again to begin concentrating, then keep holding L1, but it also says hold R1.
Keep holding L1 to sort of charge the blade. So like me, you were probably trying to light these torches. They're not really torches, but they kind of look like torches. What you need to...
Once clicking R1 and L1, keep pressing L1. Wait, keep pressing L1? It said hold. It didn't say keep pressing.
Do is walk closer to the door and you will see the gem sort of charge by the blinding light.
God.
And that will unlock the door and let you through. Don't forget to like and subscribe, folks. It does help me out quite.
That's even worse because, okay, it says here. First off, this one says something completely different. It just says press L1, R1 together, then hold R1, right?
Game. You could use that to like blind enemies, but
then this one says, you can blow it up.
For here, what you need.
This one says hold L1, R1 to assume the stance, then move. Okay, then while holding R1, press L1 again to begin concentrating light, then keep holding L1.
To do is, let me blow this up so you can kind of see it better. But the important part is to keep holding L1 to sort of charge the blade. So like me, you were probably trying to light these torches. They're not really torches, but they kind of look like.
But then it says, once doing that, keep pressing L1, walk closer to the doors and point at the stone in the wall. That is crazy. You only get prompts. Wait, you get the prompts for only the first part? That's insane. Let's watch someone else do this. Now I'm fully invested in this tutorial. The fact that it needs so many fucking videos shows that's not easy to do. Press and hold the control. So this is mouse and keyboard. Press and I can mute it because he's not talking. Press and hold the control key plus left mouse button simultaneously to activate it. Press control key after you aim your target. So you have to press it twice. What is happening? And then you have to press it. So press control and left mouse button. So two buttons at the same time to activate it. And then you focus it. And then you press control again after you aim at the target. Okay. What's the angle to light it up? Okay, you can't really tell if it's lighting up. That's great. So that's that video. There are so many.
Blinding Flash. I'm going to show you how to use Blinding Flash and get through this puzzle in Crimson Desert. So if you're on Xbox controller, hold down left bumper and right bumper at the same time, and that gets this out. And once you're doing this, keep holding down right bumper, then release left bumper, and then press left bumper and hold it again.
That's so stupid. That's so stupid. What? Did you guys hear that?
Then releasing this
What?
time, and that gets this out. And once you're doing this, keep holding down right bumper,
Keep holding down the right bumper. Okay, that's what the instruction said.
then release left bumper,
Then release the left bumper while still holding down the right bumper.
and then press left bumper and hold it again.
And then why do all that? Shadow of the Colossus figured this shit out on the PS2. Just hold the bumper, hold the button, use the directional stick to aim it, and let the light bounce off there. What is this? Wow, man, what a load of bullshit. I read through the instructions, but it didn't say to press the left bumper. Terrible instructions. Terrible game. Fuck this game. Thanks, man. Press and hold the bumpers, let go of left bumper while holding the right bumper, and then press down the left bumper again. But at no point did that instructions tell you when to do any of those things. Let's just see a little bit of this.
I'm just going to cut straight to the chase. Crimson Desert is one of the most remarkable games I think I have ever played, and I absolutely adore it. At this point, more than 60 hours in, probably more by the time this.
Okay, just straight up. The map, the world, combat, production value, combat. Let's see the flaw. Let's see the flaws. What do you call the flaw?
Not perfect, and there are plenty of things that people will not like about Crimson Desert that are worth being brought up, and that's where we get to the bad of Crimson Desert. It's not perfect. There's problems. The biggest problem, as far as I'm concerned, are the bugs. There are many of them. I ran into numerous bugs specifically related to things like puzzles or specific quests where it would
Wait. I'm sorry. Beg your finest pardon. So this game is remarkable. You love it. It's great. But one of the biggest flaws is there's bugs in the puzzles. How is that not disqualifying?
tell you to talk to this guy, but then that guy either doesn't spawn, or you try to talk to him and there's no button prompt to engage with him at all. Or
that's bad.
Maybe you do engage with him, but it doesn't complete the objective to talk to him, so the quest doesn't progress. Things like that are unfortunately quite common. 99.
What? So not even rare. Those are common bugs. Those are common bugs. I was thinking he was going to say they happen a couple of times. Those are game-breaking bugs. Yeah, he's a CRPG fan. Think Bethesda jank. Okay, Bethesda jank. Would you say a Bethesda jank game is revolutionary and remarkable? Because let's not forget what he wrote in this tweet, right? His review in progress. Crimson Desert is a game that fundamentally changes our perception of what's possible in the medium. Its open world exploration and sheer scale all offer something that almost no other game even attempted. It's not perfect. There are bugs, occasional quality. You can't just say there are bugs and one of the bugs is like, oh, there are common game-breaking bugs. I get that from Bethesda. Hello, Forever Morning Bug Skyrim. Hello, playing Skyrim on PS2 when your save file gets too big. How is that fundamentally changing my perception? Bethesda does this.
9% of the time they are resolved by either reloading or leaving the area and coming back so things reload. But it was a common enough issue that it sort of became second nature to stumble into these quests, discover that they might be bugged a little, and then leave, reset, and try again. In addition,
that's insane. It happens so frequently that your default is just to reload or leave and come back. Oh my God.
Some other systems are not really user-friendly and don't control in an intuitive way, to the point where I think it's going to be really frustrating to people, and even get to the point where at times it will feel like it is bugged even when it's not. An example of this would be a certain quest where you have to eavesdrop on different people throughout a small village in order to gain information about a local gang leader, basically. And so you go and you do this by pressing left bumper while looking at different targets that you are tasked with eavesdropping on. This will usually lead to Cliff leaning against a fence post or something to listen to them covertly. However, there's this moment where you are expected to eavesdrop on these two ladies. The game tells you roughly the area where they are, and you figure out pretty quickly that these are the two ladies you're supposed to eavesdrop on.
Okay.
What the game wants you to do is to go and stand within like a 2-foot window outside of the building and listen through the cracks in the wood. However, it's not intuitive. You have to break some stuff to get access to that spot at the wall. And all of the previous instances of you eavesdropping, of which there are, I believe, 2 in the entire game up to that point, you are standing in a clear line of sight with the target. So you don't.
Okay, so what that is, again, is poor tutorialization. He just said in the other 2 examples up until that point of the game, they told you need to stand in this spot and you can eavesdrop. And then randomly they say, actually, you need to break these things, climb up this window and look under here and then you can eavesdrop. That is not intuitive design. And that's another reason why I get so mad. People say, this game doesn't hold your hand. That's not an excuse for poor implementation of game mechanics. That's cope. You can't just be like, oh, well, it doesn't hold your hand. Oh, so it can just do whatever it wants? That's insane. Knowing all of this, do you think it's, and mind you, we did in fact see the tutorial, but if we didn't even see it, if we just watch this part, don't you think it probably makes more sense why the tutorial could have been difficult for people? If they do shit like this after the tutorial?
Don't think that you can listen through walls until you just happen to stumble outside in frustration and press the button and it works. There's many instances like that where you're like, is this bugged or is this a feature? Like, am I doing something wrong or is it bugged? And you don't really know because the bugs are so prevalent. It's really
Jesus
frustrating.
Christ.
And it's one of those instances where I think when the game fully launches, it won't be that big of a deal because some people might get frustrated and be like, I'm just going to look it up. They look it up and see, oh, I'm supposed to stand there.
No, see, okay, I'm so happy he said that. That is bad. If your game relies on other people looking at, also, he's also sweeping right here. If your game relies on other people doing things outside of your game to complete your game, that's bad design. I'm sorry. You're saying it won't be that big of a deal when it launches, not because they're going to patch it out, but because people will get frustrated and will just look up a video. What if they don't? What if they just say, this sucks, I'm refunding the game? What then? This is why you're supposed to do QA testing. This is why you're supposed to be debugging. Like, hey, this mission actually sucks because it's not intuitive. Maybe we should put glowing yellow paint, or maybe we should have something to let them know that they can do that. There has to have been a day 1 patch for this. A tutorial quest has been added at the start title to help players learn more about Abyss Gears. Fix an issue where certain quests would not progress properly. Improve usability of certain systems and content, including housing mode. Fix issues with certain content that did not function as intended or incorrectly. Adjusted QTE difficulty when captured by enemies to gradually increase based on number of times captured. Removed bear's instant kill damage. What? What? Why does a bear have instant kill damage? Why does it have instant kill? Okay. Fine. I haven't played this game, so I can't make a judgment, at least on that aspect. Fixed an issue where the number of Grayman comrades owned may be displayed as lower than what actual count is, or some comrades sometimes do not appear on the list. Insane. Lip syncing voice, improve dialogue voices. Fix an issue where the voice, dialogue, and subtitles do not match a meeting. Fix issues related to abnormal interactions. What does that mean? Made various performance and stability updates across PC and console, as well as crash issues. Attempting to steal fruit at the back of a stall results in the character becoming unresponsive to controls. When receiving damage while holding a tree, the character can become stuck. Wait, what? During the Gregor the Halberd of Carnage boss fight, if a surrounding objects are destroyed at the same time the character dies, the character cannot revive and progress. That is insane. Hopefully they patch those out.
Error. Oh, okay. And then it's not a problem. For me, I spent like 20 minutes walking around this stupid building trying to find where I was supposed to stand to
Oh, you must be a games journalist, Luke. You spent 20 minutes, but you're not a real gamer. What, have you never played Sekiro? You never played Sekiro, Luke, where you're supposed to eavesdrop on the boy Kuro? I'm intentionally being a dick to highlight the fact that he acted like that to the other journalists who were having issues with the tutorial puzzle, which was terribly tutorialized. 20 minutes to figure out how to eavesdrop, bro? You played 60 hours of this game, bro.
Triggered the LB button press to progress through the quest. It was really annoying. In that same vein, there's also countless other systems that are introduced and then forgotten for hours upon hours upon hours, sometimes even dozens upon dozens of hours until you see them again. Whether you look at something like the eavesdrop system, which you use very, very rarely, or all of the countless systems built up around the settlement system. As you saw in some of the trailers, there is a settlement system where you can assign free swords to do things for local dignitaries or for faction leaders in certain areas of the map. You can basically tell two of your guys to go help build defense. You two go.
Man, that guy's setup goes hard. I will say, he does have a pretty good setup. He has a pretty good setup.
And defend the castle. You two go and deliver the grain or help them harvest this or that. And it gives you currency to upgrade your base, and it's something clearly for the end game. But there were numerous times where I would engage with one system for that settlement and then never touch it again for like 30 hours. So by the time I see it again, it's like I've played an entire AAA game in the space of time between when I used that system last. And that leads to situations where you're probably going to forget how certain things worked or how you're supposed to engage with certain things. It's an
that's bad design. That is bad design.
Artifact of the game being freaking massive and having so much going on. But it did happen many times where I'd be like, oh yeah, that was a thing. I could grab things and put them in this weird pot. I forgot about that. That was 40 hours of gameplay ago. And that will happen many, many times.
By the way, you guys, that's why if you played certain games, even open world games, after a while, they will still be tutorializing you. They'll still be like, hey, remember, you can do this. Because they also realize around this point of the game, you've been playing for 25, 30 hours, you probably forgot you can eavesdrop. You probably forgot you can store items later and use it for instant heal. You probably forgot these things. So we'll keep it up there. That's why they do that.
Because the game is just so massive and there's so much going on. I think this will also lead to situations in puzzles where people will forget that they have access to certain things that the puzzle may require of them. They may forget that you can tap RB and triangle to do a stab attack, which is actually how you engage with certain rotatable pillars for puzzles. Basically, there will be moments where you have a pillar and you need to stab it with your sword, and then it opens up the ability to rotate it. But if you don't happen to use that in combat, you may not realize that you can do that. And so you'll get to this puzzle and be like, how do I turn it? I don't know. And you'll just get frustrated. There's many things like that.
I'm going to sound like a broken record, but that's also bad. You know what most other games would do? They would have a little prompt right in front of the item and be like, press stab button to interact, or press the interact button to do this. Like, again, I really think what Pearl Abyss thought by saying it won't hold your hand is, we're going to tell you this thing one time and we're never going to bring it up ever again. You have to remember. Like, that's not good game design. Like, it's not good game design.
In addition, there are many times where you'll go through streaks of quests which are fantastic, really high effort, executed wonderfully. They have boss fights at the end, and they rival anything you see in other AAA open world games. But then you'll reach a quest that is so bafflingly terrible, it'll make you wonder if anybody playtested it at all within the studio at any point in development. Again, I'll point to that eavesdropping quest because I think it's a good example. And
there's a problem that Mudahar, I don't like Mudahar, but go off, talks about bloated open world full of hours and nothing. Yeah, I've also talked about that too. There are a lot of good game designs providing a manual and not explaining anything in the game. Good game design is having to download a completely separate file to understand what the game's called. But no, like, yeah, that's another thing too about games like this, right? I have a video that you guys should watch. I'm self-promoting on my channel. What a weird concept. But I have a video talking about that very concept of games going like, there's like 100 hours of content. This game has 3 times the size of the island of Manhattan. And then it's like, cool, but what's in there? If I have to go through 200 hours of stuff in order to get like 30, 40 hours of like primo shit, just make the game 30 or 40 hours long. Like, the length of a game has been tied to its price, and I think that's the wrong mentality to have. Because if I'm spending $60, $70 on a game, I don't need it to be 800 hours where you do the same shit, or it's super empty and it's surface level, but every once in a while there's a cool mission. That's just not how it works. Like, there's a reason why certain open world games are still limited in scope, but there's stuff to the gills of things to do, because the developers can spend time to make interesting storylines. Cyberpunk 2077, some of the most coolest missions you have are just you doing the random shit. Because even though it's a pretty big game, its scope is small enough where they can put interesting pockets of things all over the place. But what people keep doing is now just overstuffing shows. Like, this game is massive, it's huge, it's and what can you do? Oh, like 9 things, and we're just kind of rotate through those things. It's like, no, I want to, like, do you guys remember in GTA 4 where you could beat like the freaks in Liberty City? I like that. I like that you could just drive around and it's like, here's some weird person, and it's like 8 or 16 like NPCs that they made that specifically do those things. Then I'm like, that's great. Yes, exactly. The NCPD content, the Cyber Psycho quests are just like picking up random odd jobs where it's, you have to help Jesse Cox because his dick is on fire, or, you know, the stuff with even though it's not really random because it happens while you're driving, the stuff with what's it called, like Dalman, where you have to find the other versions of his AI that are going rogue. Like, that's fun. That's fun. Random encounters in GTA, yeah, that's fun. But like, when games go, this game has 5,000 hours of claim, but you're gonna need to play 300 hours to complete this game. I don't want to do that. And you want to know why? Because like, the only game series that has successfully done that has been like The Witcher. Witcher 3 is impossibly large, not even including the DLC. But they've somehow managed to put a bunch of interesting, cool storylines that don't help with the main game, but still feel like you're a Witcher doing something. People don't know you can hang out with Franklin D. Roosevelt. You can hang out with FDR and Starfield. I'm being completely honest, bro. I bounced off of Starfield. I can get back to it literally, but I bounced off of that. But like, that's what I'm talking about though. Like, when you have a more limited scope, you can put so much more cool shit in there. You could put like Skyrim, pretty big when it came out in terms of scope, right? But you could tell where the pockets of actual intent and design were versus like the procedurally generated like caves, right? Like, you could stumble upon some cool shit in Skyrim. That's what I love. But if you're gonna tell me there's like 800 hours of content, my eyes glaze over.
And I don't have to show you more than one quest, but that's one that is like bafflingly bad. Like I said, you have to eavesdrop on different targets to gain info about a local leader of a gang, and that gets you access to their underground bunker to progress the story. You talk to one individual guard that's outside of the bunker, and he's the one that decides whether or not you're allowed to go and speak to their boss. He basically has a key that opens a door, and the only way you can get the key is by convincing him you are to be trusted by gaining information from those eavesdropping targets. However, like, speaking with him is so bafflingly stupid. It's amazing. Like, serious, I have no idea if anybody at the studio tested it at all. It's shocking. Like, it's unreal. You talk to him and he'll have a series of...
So if I'm enjoying Crimson Desert, you like those, and that's fine. I'm also, look, I said before earlier in the stream, I also do want to play this game, but I think it's insane for someone, especially like Luke, to be somewhat surprised that people gave it a bad score when he's saying shit like this. You know what I mean? Like, he's saying like, yeah, the story is kind of the missions, some of them are fucking really hard and obtuse to understand. They drop mechanics 30 hours into it that you forgot about. Like, read the Dwarf Fortress patch notes. Oh, I have read those patch notes before. My friends told me about those.
Lines of dialogue. I won't get too specific for spoilers potential, but then you have the option and it prompts you, tell the truth or lie. About what? Tell the truth about what? Or lie about what? I don't know. You press the button. It doesn't tell you what Cliff said. It just goes, if you tell truth, he's like, okay, well, stay out of trouble. And then the dialogue ends and you're like, what? Okay. And if you lie, you can select lying with information you gathered while eavesdropping. So I guess you're lying by pretending that you know that stuff, I guess is what it's supposed to be. But at one point you'll tell him a lie and then he'll be like, okay, well, I still don't know if I can trust you. I'm not joking. He says, I need to get approval for this. Wait here, which I feel like in English indicates that he's going to leave. Wait here. I'm going to go see if I can get you approval to go meet the boss.
Yes, that sounds like true.
He doesn't leave. There's no state where he leaves. He stays there. I think at one point in the quest, design or in development, he was supposed to leave and go check with the boss and then come back and give you the thumbs up. But it doesn't happen now. I reloaded this multiple times and he just never leaves. It actually spawns an additional objective elsewhere in the village where you need to go and eavesdrop on those two ladies in the shed. That gives you the name of the gang boss so that you can come back and get approval to go down into the underground hideout. But
so that right there is just, it's fluff, right? You eavesdrop on the ladies to get information to take it to that guard. And then you have to go and eavesdrop again for them to tell you the name and then to go back to the guy to get that's so stupid. That's bad quest design, which was a critique we saw in one of the Metacritic reviews.
If you listened to the NPC guard, you would think he's going to go and do something. So you would think it's bugged, and maybe it is. But this is the problem with like questing bugs, is that when they happen randomly, you don't know if you're encountering a bug or if something's working the way it's supposed to, and it's just bad. In this case, it's just bad. It's not bugged, it's just bad. And so there's going to be times where people run into this and like, what is going on? What am I supposed to do? And it's just unintuitive. But that's what's really bizarre about Crimson Desert is you'll go from one quest that's phenomenally well executed, that has motion captured characters, voice acted scenes explaining everything, and it's executed very, very well. And then you'll run into something like this, which would be unacceptably bad even in a mobile game. And to be fair, these moments are not that common. I can think of probably like 3 or 4 off the top of my head throughout the first 60 hours of gameplay. But
that's not bad then.
Still a lot. You know, it's still more than you would hope for. In addition, the inventory system is incredibly difficult to navigate with a flood of items in the early game that you don't actually need and that you can throw away. For example, when you pick up bounty notices, it keeps those in your inventory for some reason and they take up a slot. Or in a quest, if you get handed a piece of paper or a poster or something, you just have to open it in your inventory, hold down left bumper to read it and to learn what it says, and then you can get rid of it. You can discard it and throw it away. The game never tells you that though. So players who just start the game from scratch will have an inventory filled with junk they can throw away and not realize it. In addition, at launch,
I'm going to say it again, you guys. That is bad game design. And the fact that you can do what he said and the game doesn't tell you, that is bad tutorialization. The game needs to tell you its mechanics. Now, there are some games that have like hidden mechanics that you can discover, but they at least tell you the base mechanics. The game doesn't even tell you you can get rid of items in your inventory. Like, how is that acceptable?
There's apparently no clear storage solution for players for them to like store excess goods or crafting materials that they want to use for their camp or settlement, or crafting materials for like armor and weapons. It's my understanding that they will be adding a storage locker or something for the player at some point after launch. It's just not going to be here at launch. But they did respond to the feedback from reviewers. We told them like, is there really no storage chest for us? Is there like no way to store things out?
And they're going to fix it. That's fine. That's fine. But just to tell you something, so the flaws start at 1307 and they end at 2236. There's almost 9 minutes of just straight flaw talk. His intro is what, from this to 5 minutes, and then from 5:45 to, so roughly 4 minutes of the map in the world, a minute of a production value. Combat goes from 10 minutes, 10:05 to 12. Endless possibilities from 12:21 to 12:59. The majority of his video on the game that he loves is dedicated to its flaws. I repeat, his video is 30 minutes and 48 seconds. Of that, the flaws start at 13, according to chapters,
There you
1307.
go. However, this is where
1307. The flaws end at 22:45. The majority of the video of the game that he loves is mostly dedicated to its flaws. Like, it has the most dedicated time to it. Like, obviously, if you add like the map in the world and production value and combat, that's add up to more. But if we just go by sections, the flaws eat up most of the time. Again, intro doesn't matter. He says he loves it. Intro, and then 5 minutes into it, map in the world, and then 9 minutes into it, production value, and then a minute into it, or less than a minute into it, combat. 2 minutes later, possibilities. A minute later, the flaws, and then 9 minutes later, he talks about something else besides the flaws. That's a crazy breakdown. That is a crazy breakdown. You can dedicate 9 solid minutes to the flaw. He didn't dedicate that much time to even his fucking closing thoughts. That's insane. Who is this? This is Luke Stevens. But that's insane. I'm sorry. That is insane. That is truly insane to me. If you're telling me this is the best game you've ever played, this game is remarkable, it's doing things we haven't done in games before, and then you dedicate 9 solid minutes of your 30-minute video about the flaws, you dedicate more time to that than any other section. How is that? I'm sorry. To me, this looks like you're not really objective. And I know you can only be so objective as a reviewer because there's either you like it or you don't. But you're at the top of this video, he said he likes the game. He said, hell, he loves the game. Look, just in case you weren't here before, this is what he says immediately. Frame 1.
I'm just going to cut straight to the chase. Crimson Desert is one of the most remarkable games I think I have ever played, and I absolutely adore it. At this point, more than 60 hours in, probably
10 seconds into the video, he says all that. 10 seconds in. And then why does the production value get its own little section? Why is this not been anything? Combat.
don't know how they even got these running. Like, seriously, they will have hundreds and hundreds of enemies being simulated in real time, fighting against your allies who are also being simulated in real time. Like, I'm not joking when I say that some of the stuff they do in this game makes it look like other studios aren't even trying. It's ridiculous. You know, one of the common things that was said about Crimson Desert in the lead up to its launch was, this looks too good to be true. There's no way this is real. And that was a fair feeling to have, because up till this point, there really has not been a game that's been capable of doing all of these things in real time. But they're doing it. It's just built different, dude. It's crazy.
But you know what? That's fair. That's fair. And then we have flaws for 9 straight minutes. And all this huge thing I've done about this thing is to highlight something that I have been talking about for, it feels like forever now. Whenever there is a game that the cultural warriors have deemed to be woke or unacceptable, their immediate target, They do a full court press of harassment. They pocket watch. They're watching Steam charts. They're looking at Metacritics. They're doing all of that shit, right? They're doing the works. Sorry. They're doing the works. But when that happens, not even the harassment, mind you, but when something critical is said about a game that they like, now it's a Darvo. Now it's actually, you don't like this game because you don't know how to play games because you're a bad gamer because you're a journalist. And not because the game has obvious flaws, like Luke himself mentioned for 9 straight minutes. Some of these flaws are literally game-breaking bugs where you cannot do quest progression. Like, that's insane. Some of this is from a game design standpoint where they don't introduce certain systems until way later, or they introduce the system early on in one form, like the eavesdropping, and then expect you to be able to completely do it in a different form that you didn't even know you had access to. Like, that's what I'm talking about. If this was Veilguard, they would have ripped it a new asshole. But because it's not, he has to solve him, saying, well, you know, it's okay because gamers will just watch tutorial videos on how to do past this part. It's fine, not that big, not a big of a deal. It is a big deal. There are games that have better optimization, they have better tutorialization, and you ream them because you don't like the dialogue. But this game, well, it's not narrative focused. It's not the narrative's not the strongest, so it's okay we give it a pass. Why does that get a pass? This isn't like Devil May Cry, which even then the stories are pretty decent. Devil May Cry, but I'm not expecting Shakespeare. But like, there should still be a certain level within this genre that's acceptable, right? But again, all of these, and I'm not just talking just about Luke, I'm talking about just these people in general. All of their issues they have with game when it comes to woke shit completely evaporates when it's a game that they like. It's the same mentality as go woke, go broke, but Baldur's Gate, that's not woke because it didn't go broke. Well, Elden Ring is not woke because it didn't go broke. Code Violet, the developers were scummy, and that's why I didn't do it. It's a shitty game. The First Descendant, that's a game they championed. They don't talk about it anymore. They also don't talk about Code Violet. But they're always projecting and always deflecting. Like, it doesn't matter. This game for them was supposed to crush everything. Was supposed to be 90s, to be like, yeah, baby, wokeness is dead. And because it's not getting a 90 because there are some glaring flaws with the game, and the reviewers are being objective and mentioning the flaws of the game, they're like, they're just hating it because they're not able to complete it. Like, it's such bullshit. They flip flop on everything. It's like Stellar Blade all over again. No, this is the inverse of Stellar Blade, because they were saying that game journalists were going to hate Stellar Blade because it was woke and sexy. And then when Stellar Blade got like an 80, they were like, they had to give it a good score, but they didn't want to. Because again, they come up with these narratives that all game journalists hate XY thing. All of them hate it. So if it does well, it's in spite of them because they have so much power. But then if a game that they supposedly love tanks, suddenly all that power the game journals had to force the game to be good goes away. Because then it becomes, wokeness is bad. Look, Ex Voto's about woke lesbian, and it's not getting good reviews. It's a bad game. But Crimson Desert's not getting good reviews. Well, that's because the journalists can't beat the game. No way. This is oh my God. This is the author show I'm talking about. Look at this. Look at this. The team is doing its best to address bugs as they arise, but in a game this big, it's hard to imagine it will be able to squash them all anytime soon. As for the LGBTQ representation, the game is very lacking. I've yet to see any NPCs or even main characters to be diverse and inclusive, which is the shame. This is photoshopped. This is fake. There are people faking the IGN in progress review. Why? Because they like this game and IGN gave it a 6 so far, not final. Look, the team is doing its best to address it, right? And then this part is, I played over 110 hours of Crimson Desert and already feels like I've just seen about all there is to see, but until I complete the main story and explore whatever secrets the in-game holds, I'm not ready to stamp a final score onto this ambitious yet flawed RPG quite yet. So far, the highs have been high and the lows have been very low, which is made for an amusing adventure that's also difficult to recommend outright. I'm looking forward to seeing how the story wraps up, though I'm not expecting much from it at this point, and what the post-game experience looks like. I should be ready with the final review in the coming days. That is what this says. This fucking says, as for LGBT plus, like they're photoshopping, and their justification is IGN gave Slopguard 9 out of 10. Amazing. All of this because they like the game.